deep within the heart of the sun-drenched continent, where the crimson earth meets an endless, burning sky, there stands witness to 1,000 lifetimes. It is not made of stone or gold, but of ancient bark, gnarled branches, and deep, silent roots. The elders call it the Baobab, the tree of life, but the spirits know it as the upturned tree, planted upside down by the gods to keep its proud branches from touching the heavens. If you stand beneath its massive shadow when the twilight turns the savanna into a canvas of amber and violet, and if you press your ear against its rough, weathered skin, you will not hear the wind. You will hear a heartbeat. It is the heavy, ancient pulse of Africa itself, echoing the stories of forgotten kingdoms, shape-shifting gods, and the resilient souls who first walked this sacred ground. Before the first blade of grass pierced the soil, before the great rivers carved their paths through the valleys, there was only darkness and the silent expanse of the primordial waters. The supreme creators looked down upon the empty canvas of the earth and decided it was time to breathe life into the silence. In the myths of the West, it was Olodumare who sent the sky gods down with a shell of earth, a golden chain, and a five-toed hen to scatter the soil across the endless waters, creating the vast plains and jagged mountains we see today. In the valleys of the south, the people whispered a different dawn, where the Great Spirit broke through the cosmic egg, shattering the dark to unleash the sun, the moon, and a storm of brilliant, blinding stars. Every stone, every river bend, and every thorn on the acacia tree was born with a spirit of its own, a silent guardian assigned to watch over the balance of nature. Among these spirits, none was more feared and revered than Nyami, the great river god of the Zambezi. With the body of a serpent and the head of a fish, he ruled the deep, churning waters with absolute authority, hiding beneath the swirling currents and protecting the valley from those who dared to disrespect the river. For centuries, the people living along the banks of the Zambezi offered gifts of grain and song to Nyami, asking for safe passage and bountiful catches. They knew that the river was not just water, it was a living, breathing entity that could give life with its floods or take it away in a flash of divine anger. When modern hands came to build walls of concrete to trap the river, the elders warned that the dragon of the Zambezi would strike back. The earth shook, the floods rose to unprecedented heights, and the concrete cracked, proving to the world that the ancient spirits of the land could be challenged, but they could never be truly tamed. As the land settled, the gods realized that the earth needed a voice, someone to appreciate the majesty of the sunrises and to tend to the creatures of the wild. And so, from the soft mud of the riverbanks and the dust of the savannah, the first humans were shaped. They were given the gift of fire, the wisdom of the hunt, and the ability to speak with the wind. But the gods also left a test for humanity, scattered across the landscapes in the form of tricksters and shapeshifters. The most famous of them all was Anansi, the clever spider, a creature of boundless wit and endless mischief. Anansi did not possess the strength of the elephant or the speed of the cheetah, but he possessed something far more dangerous, a brilliant mind. He spun webs of deception, tricking the sky god to win all the stories of the world for humanity, proving that in the vast, unforgiving wilderness, survival required more than just brute force. It required intellect, adaptability, and a touch of cunning. The early people learned quickly that to survive on this continent, they had to move in perfect harmony with the seasons. They watched the great skies change, reading the clouds like pages of an unwritten book. When the dry season arrived, parching the earth until the soil cracked like broken glass, the people did not despair. They looked to the horizons, waiting for the great migration, the eternal march of millions of hooves that shook the very foundations of the valley. Wild abyss, zebras, and gazelles moved as a single, massive wave of life, driven by an ancient, instinctual urge to find the green pastures promised by the distant rains. Following them in the shadows were the apex predators, the lions with manes like crowns of fire, and the leopards moving like smoke through the tall grass. This was the great dance of life and death, a continuous cycle where nothing was wasted, and every creature played its vital role in maintaining the cosmic equilibrium. As generations passed, these nomadic tribes began to put down permanent roots, guided by the whispers of the land and the strategic wealth of the earth's hidden treasures. In the south, hidden among the rolling green hills and misty valleys. A civilization arose that would baffle travelers for centuries to come. They built a city not of mud and wood, but of massive, perfectly cut granite stones, stacked high into towering walls without a single drop of mortar to hold them together. This was Great Zimbabwe, the House of Stones, a thriving metropolis of trade, art, and spirituality. Its rulers grew wealthy on the trade of gold, ivory, and precious beads, establishing networks that stretched across the Indian Ocean to distant lands in Asia and Arabia. Yet, despite their immense wealth and architectural genius, they never forgot their connection to the earth. The bird spirits carved from soapstone stood guard over the high walls, looking out toward the horizons, connecting the mortal rulers below with the ancestors who watched from the spirit realm above. Further north, along the sweeping bends of the Niger River, another kind of magic was brewing, a magic born of scholar kings, vast libraries, and mountains of glittering gold. This was the Mali Empire, a land so wealthy and vast that its name became synonymous with paradise in the minds of medieval mapmakers. At the peak of its glory stood Mansa Musa, a king whose wealth was so immense that when he embarked on his legendary pilgrimage across the desert, he changed the economies of entire nations just by passing through them. He traveled with thousands of camels, each laden with pure gold, distributing it so generously to the poor that the value of the precious metal plummeted for over a decade. Yet, Mansa Musa's true legacy was not the gold he spent, but the knowledge he brought back. He transformed the desert oasis of Timbuktu into a world-renowned center of learning, where universities flourished and thousands of manuscripts filled with science, astronomy, and philosophy were written and preserved. But the history of the continent is not just written in the grand stone cities or the gold-laden courts of emperors. It is written in the quiet bravery of those who stood against the tide of change to protect their people and their traditions. In the rugged, mountainous terrain of what is now Angola, a young princess grew into a warrior queen whose name would strike fear into the hearts of foreign invaders. Her name was Zinga. Facing the encroaching forces of empires that sought to enslave her people and dismantle her kingdom, she refused to bow. When foreign diplomats tried to humiliate her by refusing to offer her a chair during a critical meeting, Zinga did not complain. She gestured to one of her loyal attendants, who immediately fell to all fours, creating a human throne for the queen. Sitting level with the foreign governor, she negotiated as an equal, proving that true sovereignty cannot be given or taken away. It is carried in the blood and the spirit. Beyond the golden kingdoms and the clash of shields, there is a place where time itself seems to dissolve into the wind. To the north lies the Sahara, a colossal ocean of shifting sand, blinding light, and absolute silence. For thousands of years, this desert has been a barrier, a graveyard, and a sanctuary. It is a world where only the strongest and the wisest can survive, guided not by roads, but by the ancient map of the night sky. Through these burning dunes walk the Tuareg, the veiled warriors known as the blue people of the desert, draped in indigo robes that stain their skin like the twilight sky. They move like ghosts across the sand. They know that the desert is a living beast. It breathes with the sandstorms. It speaks in the whistling wind, and it tests the soul of anyone who dares to cross it. To the Tuareg, the Sahara is not an empty void. It is a home of freedom, a place where the noise of the modern world cannot reach, and where the stars feel close enough to touch. As the desert sands give way to the south, the golden grasslands gradually transform into a thick, emerald twilight. This is the Congo Basin, the beating heart of the continent's wilderness. Here, the canopy is so dense that the sun rarely kisses the forest floor, creating a world of perpetual mist, hidden rivers, and ancient mysteries. In the deep shadows of these rainforests, the trees grow so tall they seem to support the heavens, and the air is thick with the scent of damp earth and blooming orchids. This is the realm of the forest elephants, moving silently like gray giants through the undergrowth, and the elusive okapi, a creature of myth that looks like a beautiful cross between a zebra and a deer. For the people who inhabit these forests, every leaf holds a secret remedy, and every animal is a messenger from the spirit world. They believe that the forest is a protective mother, providing food, water, and shelter, but demanding absolute respect in return. To anger the forest is to invite the darkness, but to live in harmony with it is to unlock the ultimate peace. Throughout all these changing landscapes, from the burning sands of the north to the misty jungles of the center, one truth remains unbroken. Africa is not just a place on a map, it is a living, breathing emotion. It is an untamed spirit that refuses to be conquered, a melody played on the strings of time. It is heard in the thunderous roar of a lion shaking the savannah at dawn, signaling that a new day of survival has begun. It is seen in the graceful stride of the Maasai warriors, walking through the tall grass with spears held high, perfectly at peace with the predators that surround them. It is felt in the rhythmic pounding of the drums around the evening fire, a heartbeat that connects the living with the ancestors who walked the same earth thousands of years ago. The history of this land is not captured in dusty textbooks, but in the laughter of children playing under the midday sun, in the resilience of mothers who carry the weight of generations on their shoulders, and in the wisdom of the elders who refuse to let the old stories die. And so, as the sun begins its slow descent once more, painting the horizon in shades of fiery orange, crimson, and deep gold, we return to where our journey began. The great Baobab stands unyielding against the fading light, its massive trunk carved by centuries of wind and rain. Empires have risen to dazzling heights and crumbled into dust, rivers have changed their courses, and countless generations have come and gone, yet the sacred tree remains. It holds the memories of the land within its ancient rings, guarding the secrets of the gods and the dreams of humanity. As the first stars begin to blink into existence, casting a diamond glow over the vast, beautiful continent, the wind whispers through the branches of the baobab one last time. It is a whisper of strength, a whisper of hope, and a reminder that no matter how much the world changes, the eternal spirit of Africa will endure forever.